Anyway. Okay. Welcome everyone to Bayonetta new game, 80% normal, no infinite flute glitch. I hope that you enjoy the run. Timer starts on normal difficulty select, which will be in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, yeah, welcome. So this is Bayonetta. It is a hack and slash game by Platinum Games. The first part of the speedrun is just an auto-scroller, so there isn't too much required of me to do, but I'll get to explain a little bit about the run. So we start off with getting introduced to two of the main characters of the game. On the left is Jean, and on the right is Bayonetta, who is the character that we are going to be playing as for this speedrun. Thanks for your cube. So, with the auto-scroller, you might notice now that there is a narrator reading some dialogue, giving a bit of background to the world and the story. What can happen in this auto-scroller part is that sometimes the last sentence of his dialogue gets cut off and we can get a bit of time save. So we just have to wait until that happens to see if we get that extra bit of time save in the auto-scroller part. And yeah, we're just getting introduced to some of the main enemies of the game as well. Unlike Devil May Cry, where you verse demons and devils, in Bayonetta you verse angels and angelic creatures, even though they don't look very angelic. They look kind of goofy. And yeah, this run is pretty action-packed and fast-paced, so I'll try my best to explain all the main things that pop up. But yeah, hopefully we'll have some fun. Yeah, right now I'm just punching and defeating enemies, but there isn't too much required of me to do here. We just have to wait and see if the narrator will stop their dialogue early or read the whole thing. So this is a good time for any donations that need to be catched up on as well. Yeah, we're gonna see these little angels a lot of times. You might also, there's like a larger looking angel type in the back there, kind of looked a bit like a dragon. That is Fortitudo. We're gonna see him quite a few times in the early game. So yeah, you'll get to see him quite a few times. Yeah, I'll try my best to explain this run. It's a lot of fun. This run doesn't always get shown at marathon, so I'm very happy that I'm going to have the opportunity to show it. See, the last line of the dialogue was all but one. However, the narrator only said the first word, which was all. So sometimes he can read the whole sentence, sometimes he only reads the first two words. So we just have to wait and see if we get that extra bit of time save. Oh, pug! Yeah! So now we have prologue, the vestibule. We start off in a cemetery with a few angels. And what I'm going to be doing is lifting the angels up, doing this ragdoll move, and then trying to hit them into each other. Try and clear them out fast. It's going to be a few waves. And you might notice when defeating them or ragdolling them around, there are these golden rings that pop out of their body. Those are halos, and that is the main currency of the game. So you'll see that quite a bit throughout the whole game. Yeah. Now there's a smaller flying angel type, so we just shoot them. And there's a little bit of a mix of both of them, so yeah, I'm just going to try ragdoll them and push them into each other. Oh shoot them where I can. I think that's all of them. Yeah. Now, you might notice these kind of like rainbow colored circles underneath Bayonetta's health bar, the green health bar. When she has a full magic gauge, which is what that is called, she can perform this, which is called a torture attack. And we do that to that larger enemy to the side who was in like a red sort of top, because it one-shots him. And he has quite a bit of health, so that's a good way to get rid of him first. Now in this next segment, we're going to be needing to do 3 torture attacks in order to progress. So we start off this segment with a full magic gauge from the previous fight. And now what I'm going to be doing is holding down my combos. So the Bayonetta will shoot a lot of bullets from her hands and her feet to try and fill the magic gauge up as fast as possible. So you might see like the spheres filling up. And that's the end of the prologue. And yep, whenever you get a platinum award, Bayonetta will tell you how much you should have been a pole dancer. You might hear that a few times. Now, in between chapters, there is this little mini game called Angel Attack. I won't be playing it here, but I'll be playing it a bit later, so I'll get to explain it then. Coming up next is Chapter 1, The Angel's Metropolis. There's a bit of movement tech in this chapter. First thing we do is we jump over this train, and we perform this, which is called Jump Punch Cancelling, where you press the jump and the punch button together to get a slightly faster movement. We also use the dodges to go a bit faster. And down here there is a key. So we quickly crack open the chest to get the key, and there is an enemy that spawns behind you once I get up on top of here. But you can quickly go to the door and put the key in, and you don't have to deal with them. Hey, Kenna. So after interacting with the statue, there'll be some angels who pop out. So I'm just going to do the same ragdoll move and try and push them into each other. He was a little bit far away. Ooh, that's not what I wanted to do. That's okay. After Bayonetta interacts with the statue again, which will happen here, the statue will cast a lightning bolt, and when dodging this lightning bolt, Bayonetta gets Witch Time. Witch Time is probably one of the most important mechanics in the whole game, and what it essentially allows to happen is that time is slowed down. Bayonetta can get Witch Time when dodging enemies or dodging things in her surroundings that could do damage to her. And when time is slowed down, she can take advantage of her enemies or the surroundings. So yeah, we're gonna just do some more punch jump cancelling down this pathway. But this is the last time you're going to see it because we're about to go into the shop and buy a better movement technique. Technique for movement. And that technique is air dodge, which is pretty self-explanatory, but it allows Bayonetta to dodge through the air, which is something you can't do normally. You need to buy a technique for it. Now, in this little dome, there is a vase, and in that vase is arcade bullets. You might have remembered that I mentioned that there's a minigame in between chapters. We pick up those arcade bullets because we're going to need some extra bullets in that arcade game, which I'll show a bit later. There's going to be some waves of angels coming out here. And one thing to take note of that Bayonetta can do is that she can take the enemy's weapons, the angel weapons. Like, for example, she took the halberd from one of the enemies and is now using it as a stripper pole. She can also take the enemies' weapons by doing a torture attack to them. I torture attacked that guy specifically because I'm going to be needing that ball and chain weapon for an enemy a bit later that we'll see. Which we'll see in just a minute, hopefully, if... Okay, someone's still alive, sorry. Okay, we should be seeing them now. This is a beloved. It is a larger angel type. On their backs, they have these red spots. And that is their weak point. So using that ball and chain weapon, we hit that weak point so that he takes a lot of damage. And for some of the larger angels, Bayonetta will summon an infernal beast, like this one that you see here. This is Gamora. You're going to be seeing him quite a few times along the run. And we're going to be taking the axe that the beloved had dropped. And we're going to be collecting this disc. These disc LPs, when you take them to the shop, you can get certain weapons. So we're going to be exchanging that disc at the store a bit later to get another weapon that we're going to be using for the run. Now, Bayonetta has a flashback. This is Flute, you might have remembered him. And what I'm going to be using here is a technique called bullet climax, which allows Bayonetta to shoot a lot of bullets from her hands or her feet, and it allows her to stay in the air as well. So we'll use bullet climax against him to take him down first. We're also going to be using it again here. Ooh, if I can get across here. So you can tell Bayonetta can stay in the air. She can also perform it with the feet. And I want to keep in the air. Because you might notice he is trying to ram that bridge to the side wall. If I stand on this platform, Bayonetta gets staggered like that. So we stay in the air to try and continuously do damage to him. Now we're going to be seeing the axe in use now. I'm going to be using it in just a moment. The beloved comes here, but using the axe, his health just gets erased. And you'll notice in this animation, Bayonetta is on the platform with the beloved, but because the axe does so much damage to him, when he's at the bottom of the bridge, we can defeat him before he even gets up here. Because this is usually where you're forced to verse him. But we can, yeah, take him out before he gets up here. Hey Brian, hey Furious. No, I'm not, I'm practicing for Valuathon. And that's the end of chapter 1. Now, you might have remembered in that little dome that I talked about, I got arcade bullets. That is for this minigame, because now we have some extra bullets that we can use in this minigame. And the reason why we play this minigame is because with the points that you get in this minigame, you can exchange them for certain items. And there's an item that we're going to be getting for the run in here that you can't get at the store. If I can aim. I don't like this because I have to aim. But yeah, we just try and get as many points as we can. And the item that we're going to be exchanging the points for is a magic flute. Magic flutes do damage to surrounding enemies in an AoE. And even though this isn't the infinite flute glitch run, we can still use them. We just have to consume them normally. And yeah, I'll get to show them to you in the next chapter, which is chapter 2, Vigrid City of Deja Vu. Now the first fight that we have is the first Jean fight. Now this fight has a bit of a reputation for not being very nice, mainly because Jean can dodge everything that you try and throw at her. And what we're doing here is using the wicked weaves that you see, we try and plant as much damage onto her as possible. Wicked weaves is something that you get in chapter 1, where now whenever I do combos, you can see these large feet or large hands that get summoned at the end of the combos. And because that fight was a flashback, Bayonetta remembers that she can do Witch Walk, which is what I just performed there. So we'll see Bayonetta crawling on some of the walls in some chapters. Like that. And for some doors like this one, you need witch time to be activated in order to go through them. So I needed to interact with that statue that I passed to go through that door in the new game run. There's gonna be some more angels here. I ragdoll the first one to try and push him into the others. And we just have to try and take them out as fast as possible. Not very nice, are you? Okay. So now that angel dropped his angel bow, and I'm going to be using it to clear out some of the waves of angels here. I need a full magic gauge because I want to torture him. Because I need his magic flute as well. I mean, magic bow. Angel bow. I'm using a magic flute here. See, with the magic flute, because it does damage to the surrounding area, there was a lot of angels who would have spawned down, but I killed them as they were coming down, so I don't have to deal with them. Okay, let me pick this up. And we still have some of the bow left because we're going to be needing it for the next fight that comes up. Yeah, I wanted to torture him. And we get introduced to a new angel type, which is kind of like a wheel type angel. But with the bow, we can take them down very fast. There's going to be some more of those wheels on the wall, but using a flute, we can clear them out. Give this guy a punch, and he's like, oh no! I'm gonna die. But then he summons his friend to come help them out, who has a lot of health, more than this guy. So now there's two of them. And we're gonna take out the one with the less health first, so that we can get his axe weapon, and we're gonna be using it against the beloved that just came in. And then we climax. We see Gamora again. Hey Razor! How you doing? You might notice for some of the prompts, like the Gigaton prompts, I won't be pressing them. And that is because, like that one just there, if I had have done it, it is a slower animation. So I'm gonna try and go fast, so we don't want to do the slow things. Now I picked up another disc there. That's gonna be another weapon that we're gonna exchange at the store, which you'll see a bit later. I torture attack the one in the back because he has the weapon that I want. That guy did a really good move because by doing that move I can get witch time and then take him down very fast. Now here, usually you interact with that wall that I'm passing, but using the air dodge technique that we bought at the store from the previous chapter, you can flip over there without having to interact with it. This is for Arturo again. We're using the halberd as a stripper pole in front of his face, and then we're going to shoot him with a lot of bullets. With the bullet climax technique. Lost power tonight, so I can't do runs? That sucks. Okay, that was really hard to do with my sleeve. Should've just done it with my hand. Hopefully you can get it back soon. And that was chapter 2. Damn, I got a 403. That ain't too bad. It's pretty good, actually. Now, before chapter 3, we're going to go into the shop because we're going to be exchanging those discs that I got for weapons. And we're going to be buying a few items and techniques as well. So we're going to the Gates of Hell, which is the name of the store. And we're going to be getting the Onyx Roses and the Shuraba Sword. We're also going to be buying some Yellow Moon Lollipops. And we're also going to be buying the Stiletto Technique and the Afterburner Kick Technique. These two techniques are very important for quite a few skips and movement tech along the run, which I'll get to show once we get there. Now, first thing we do when entering Chapter 3 is we equip the sword, we equip the Onyx Roses, which is a set of shotguns, and we equip the Yellow Moon Lollipop. Now, these enemies in this first fight are on fire, so I cannot touch them normally, otherwise Bayonetta gets staggered. So using the Shuraba sword and which time where I can get it, I try and slice them down, and then... Oh, I don't have a flute like I usually do. Okay, that's okay. We use the Shuraba sword to slice them down with the slice, yeah. Now for this chapter, for the next few chapters, you will see this movement, which is the Stiletto Technique, and the sword, which is like this faster propelling movement that Bayonetta will have for the next few chapters. Please don't slap me, Mr. Beloved. I don't appreciate that. So yeah, you'll get to see that quite a bit. Now this is a fairness. It's like a dog style angel, and they love to bite. But using the Onyx Roses shotguns, you can take them down pretty fast. Now for this, there's fire that comes from the floor. Usually interact with those two statues, but using a Yellow Moon Lollipop, I can make it through here, because Yellow Moon Lollipops give invincibility for a duration of time, so we can go through there without having to be damaged by the fire. Now here, we do the air dodge technique down here, and we can make it to our destination, which is here, without having to go across the buildings at the top, which is usually what you would do when playing casually. Now we have a double fearless fight. Try and get witch time where I can, and then shoot a lot of bullets into them. That's not very nice that he moved away from me. Take them. The Onyx Roses bullets, even though they're a shotgun and have short range, the bullets do a lot of damage. So, they're very good for the speedrun. So now we have a bit of button mashing. Try and mash as much as I can to get some extra halos. I usually get 1,200, so that was pretty good. Now in this underground part, there is going to be a skip coming up ahead, so when we get there, I'll get to explain it. Oh dear, okay. That's bad. Which is coming up here. You might notice there is a bridge in front of me as well as a portal. Usually you go over the bridge and there's an animation where the bridge breaks and you have to go through the portal and deal with all that sort of stuff. But in the speedrun, using the techniques that we got at the store, the Afterburner Kick technique as well as the Stiletto technique, we can do this movement through the air and not have to deal with the bridge or go over the bridge. Instead, we can make it to that platform that is just in front of me. And get on top of here, like so. And now all we have to do is just use this, the stiletto technique with the sword and try and make it to the end of the chapter as fast as possible. And that's the end of chapter 3. And in the next part of chapter 4, we will be in this Colosseum that you see. That's going to be chapter 4. You might remember Flute. We saw him quite a few times so far. We're now going to be versing him in the Colosseum that we just saw. In the Cardinal Virtue of Fortitude. Gonna hope that he bites me. He decided not to bite and I didn't get witch time either, which is my fault. First thing we try and do is trip him down to the floor, and then we're going to be using... Oh god, help. I didn't get close enough. We use the Onyx Rose's bullets with Bullet Climax to get him to a certain amount of health, and then his health caps and he flies off to sit up here. We're going to have to do that a few times. Now he breathes fire. And we're gonna... That's right, we're gonna suplex. Suplex Flute. And there's a bit of button mashing. You go shopping after chapter 5, so I try and mash as much as I can to make sure I have enough halos for it. Hey Phoenix Flux. So we ripped off one of Fortitudo's head, we need to rip off the other. So I'm gonna try and stand in a specific spot to do something a bit special. So when his head comes down, I can get witch time. And that way do damage to his head and then trip him over, and then do Bullet Climax to his face with the Onyx Roses. Try and get the damage on him so he flies up like that, because he will do that after he receives a certain amount of damage. Now, suplex number 2, we gotta rip off the other head. Yeah, pin him. Tombstone. Okay, so now we're going to phase 3. We're gonna be using the sword a lot more. The Shuraba sword is a weapon that we use a lot against bosses. For Fortitudo we use the Onyx Roses a bit more, but for the next bosses that you'll see the sword used heaps. Also, I'm just letting him just pulverize me. Maybe asking why I'm shooting instead of grabbing him. His head on the floor? Cause that's slow. Does that do you want me to just say that? Yep, Bayonetta summoned another one of her Infernal Beasts, but it was a bird. And that's the end of chapter 4. Yeah, bird. Really, yeah, I just let myself get hit too many times in the third phase, but it's whatever. So coming up next is chapter 5. There are going to be a few different angel types that are going to get introduced, and one of them in particular doesn't play nice, so I'll get to show them to you when we get there. So the floor here breaks apart, but staying in the air with the Shuraba, so we don't have to deal with the floor breaking. And we're going to see the enemy coming up right now, which is Grace and Glory. I purposely try and aim for the red one first, because the one that you kill first will give you their weapon. And because they have different elements, the red one has fire and the blue one has electricity. In the speedrun, we want the red one for a certain ability that it has, since they both have different abilities. I'm also going to be picking up these disc pieces, which is going to be for a weapon that we're going to see a bit later. But the disc pieces in this chapter are split up, so I need to collect 3 of them. Now this is a fearless, similar to the fairness, but just a little bit different. Now in some parts of the run, there will be like mobs of enemies that I'll just be bypassing and not dealing with, because it's not necessary for me to deal with them in order to progress in the game, so we bypass them. However, there are fights that are necessary to defeat, which you will see whenever I fight enemies, because the wall creates an invisible wall that you can't go across unless you defeat them. So for those fights, you will see me versing them. But for ones like that, you can just bypass them without having to deal with them. Now we're just cruising through the air. There's like little angels, but I try not to hit them because that will slow me down. And on the other side of here, there is a fight, which is another Grace and Glory fight. Oh, he jumped away from me. Not very nice, did he? Now this is another angel type that you'll see. They are called harmonies. They are like a stingray looking angel. What I do here is I wind up the Shuraba sword at the platform, and by doing so they will all collect together and you can take them out in one slice. I need to get enough gravity to activate this door, which I just did. There's a little bit of tech for this fight. First thing that I do is I shoot one of the Onyx Rose's bullets into that guy's face. And then using the claw that we got from the previous fight, you can get in between them and spin that claw, and it defeats both of them at the same time. Yeah, I had a feeling my Shuraba wasn't gonna... And yeah, in this part, there's fire on the floor. I try not to get burnt. Just make it to the end. I have to activate this contraption, this lever. And up above... Why did I... That's not what I wanted to do. I have to interact with these statues and get access to these statues for a door that is below us. So I need to do this fight. In New Game Plus, you don't actually have to do this. But in New Game, we have to. Because we need witch time to get through the door below. You might remember I mentioned that about some doors. Oh, I forgot to get... This is very important that I pick up, so... Hopefully I'll have enough time to. I don't know if I'm going to be able to. Okay, good. That was very sketch. Anyway. Using the afterburner kick technique, I can make it up that wall without having to go around the snake way. And we're going to be collecting the final piece of the disc, which will be a weapon that I'll be exchanging at the store in just a moment. Now I'm gonna try and go up here as fast as I can. Trip him over with the bullets. Activate the claw as fast as possible. I was a little bit far away from him. But if you get up here as ASAP, you can get a quick kill like that. Because what the game thinks is, because there's another inspired who flies around, if he is still in like the scene, it thinks that you killed him twice. Now from the store we picked up the Durga. Might have remembered the disc pieces that I was picking up. The Durga is a very important weapon for the speedrun. And it has the elements of fire and lightning. In the speedrun you only use the fire type, and I'll get to show you it in action in just a moment. It's very strong. So yeah, that inspired that just flew past. Wasn't necessary for me to verse them, so we just bypassed them. Now this is Temperance. He got some little looking arms, but we're going to be seeing him a bit later. But for now, we're going to be seeing someone else that we're going to see in just a moment. Which is Jean, the second Jean fight. We're going to see the Durga in action now. The Durga has the ability to plant down explosives, and you can see how much damage it does to her health. We also use a yellow moon lollipop, which is why Bayonetta is glowing like a yellow color, and that allows for invincibility, like I said, so that none of the combos get interrupted. After completing that fight, you get a technique, which is Panther Within. Panther Within is the fastest form of movement that we have on the speedrun. So from now on, you won't be seeing the stiletto technique with the sword, you'll just be seeing Panther Within. Now here, I'm going to be playing Angel Attack again, so this is a good point for donations. Like I said, the reason why we play this minigame is for magic flutes, and I'm going to be needing a few more magic flutes for the run. And we do it after chapter 5, because after chapter 5 you have quite a few bullets from the chapter that you pick up after defeating enemies. The game gives you some and stuff like that. So, we play it here. And before the next chapter, we're going to go into the shop because there's a few techniques and items that we're going to be buying. Which I'll get to show. Because now at the store, you can purchase Bat Within and Crow Within. Crow Within is an important technique for quite a few skips that we're going to see. So buy those two techniques. And now we're going to be buying some more Yellow Moon Lollipops. And this is the Gates of Paradise. Start off with going in Panther form. You can see Panther form in action, it's a faster movement. And you get to see what the Durga is like against smaller angels. It's very good for clearing out waves of angels. Now coming up, there is a skip. Typically what you have to do is interact with those two statues that I'm bypassing, but instead, using the afterburner kick technique and the crow technique that we got at the store just before this chapter, we can make it up here without having to do an inspired fight, because after the inspired fight is completed, there's some water platforms that go up that you usually go on. Can you please die? Okay, cool. Sorry. And now we're going to be seeing the Durga in action against Grace and Glory. Why did that not... Okay, cool. Okay, this is not what I wanted. Please don't. Okay, cool. Sorry. Yeah, they can be such a mess. Coming up in this next room, we get introduced to a new character, which is little Cereza. She's in that little purple dome that you see. And we have to protect her, so... I hate hit lag. It's the worst thing in this game. But yeah, there's just gonna be a lot of enemies spawning in, so we just have to blow them up using the Durga explosives. That's not... I'm really disappointed in this chapter because I could have done this so much better. Anyway, you'll get to see her. She's next to us, the little girl next to us. Little Cereza. We protected her, but we still have to keep protecting her because now she's getting chased by a beloved. Like you get chased by, so we just have to... What we're doing for this part is we have to throw stuff behind us so that he doesn't catch up to her. Because she is what determines how fast or how slow this segment is, so we want to make sure that the beloved does not catch up to her. And I want to make sure I can actually pick stuff up too, that would be good. Come on, Cereza, just keep moving. Please don't fall over. Please don't fall over, Cereza. Yeah. Okay, this should be fine. Yeah, we go through there. We'll go through this portal. We're now in the Paradiso world. He decided to do a laser, which is dreadful because it means that I have... Yeah, anyway. But we don't have to deal with them because, hallelujah, from above there is fireballs from the sky who take them down for us. Thank you. Now we have to verse the beloved. Like the previous beloveds, they have a weak point on their back, so we're going to be trying to plant the explosives on his back. As long as he doesn't be a jerk. At what point in the game normally would you get the laser trombone, or is it only in New Game Plus? You don't get it in New Game, you only get it in New Game Plus. I mean, to get it, you have to get like... I'm pretty sure it's one of the hardest weapons to get in the game. Because you have to defeat Rodin, the shopkeeper, and to verse him you need a ticket, which costs like 1,000,000 halos or something, I think. I think that's how you get that weapon. We find out that it wasn't Bayonetta who's holding Cereza right now. That's Bayonetta, so we still need to protect Cereza. I use a yellow moon lollipop so that none of these lasers will interrupt my movement through here. So that we can try and get there as fast as possible. So we need to find out who this impersonator is. As long as I don't bounce away 500 times. Please don't bounce away. Okay, thanks. Found out it was a joy. You didn't really see them too much, but we're going to see them quite a few times a bit later in the next couple of chapters. One thing that those joys can do is that they can duplicate into two. We don't really want that happening because you don't have to deal with two of them, so we try and take them down first. This was really slow. Anyway, you might have remembered Temperance that I pointed out. He had like a little noodly looking arms from chapter 5. Gonna be versing him now as a boss fight. in the cardinal virtue of temperance. What we're going to be doing against him is an exploit, a combat exploit. Whenever Bayonetta has a firearm on the feet of one weapon set and Durga on the other, during the kicking animation of this combo that I'm going to be doing with the Durga, if you swap to the weapon set with the firearm or gun, Bayonetta can shoot bullets from her feet, which I'll show. So while kicking, I change weapon sets so that I can fire the Onyx Rose's bullets from the feet. And after he receives a certain amount of damage, he'll do this punch, which allows Bayonetta to crawl up his arm, and there are these capsules on each of his arms that need to be penetrated. So we have to do that twice. And for his arms, Bayonetta will summon these hands. And we're going to have to rip off his arms. So we just try and hit him with as much damage as I can. Now he's punching me again. That was good. Just have the other capsule on this arm. Then we do the climax. Yeah, we have his other arm to rip off. Temperance tries to be like, no, don't you do that! And he gets punched in the stomach instead. Poor guy. But there are also some captures on his body. So now for this phase, we're going to have to break them open too. So I start by doing a stiletto with the sword, and then we change over to the other weapon set, and we do bullet climax with the Onyx Roses. So try and crack them open. And after we crack the ones open on his body, his head will pop out. He's like, who's this? I'ma get you. So we're ready to. We consume a yellow moon lollipop so that the combos that we're going to be doing won't get interrupted. And for the rest of his health, we use the Shuraba Sword Slashes. And we're going to get rid of him. This one is really hard to button mash for, but I'm going to try. I did get it! I struggle with that one so much. Sometimes I don't always get it. And that was the cardinal virtue of temperance. I should have been a pole dancer too, yeah. Now, in the next chapter, is going to be one of the biggest skips in the whole run, so when we get there, I'll get to show you. Which is in Route 666. Now, this chapter starts off with you on some trucks and cars with some angels. I'm going to try and get Witch Time and kick these two big guys off first. Then I go to the corner and I use the magic flute. Try and blast off some of the angels to that side. And then on this side, there's just a few. Okay. Well. Yeah, one of the red guy that I kicked off still survived, so yeah, that was a bit slow. Now, you might remember the joys that I mentioned. We're going to see them a bit more here. I clipped the Mega Yellow Moon Lollipop. Try and get Witch Time. We're going to try blow them up. Did he? She did not die. That's okay. Now after this fight, the skip is coming up that I mentioned. Usually you have to do a whole motorbike track to verse this angel, which is in the form of a car, Ironic. But we have something special that we're going to be doing, so. As soon as this segment starts, Bayonetta activates the motorbike. We're going to go into the inventory straight away. Going to use a flute, which allows us to go in panther form and to go backwards. By doing so, you go over the finish line, you go back over the finish line again, and the game will think that you did the whole motorbike track when all you did was go backwards. So that's pretty fun. And that saves a lot of time. But before this chapter finishes, we just have a few dudes to blow up. And that's the end of that chapter. Arissa's Paradiso Remembrance of Time. Next few chapters will be in the Paradiso world. And first thing I want to do is take a turn to the right. There is a chest behind here which has a disc piece, because this is going to be needed for the disc pieces in this chapter are needed for a weapon that we're going to be using for end game. Now here there is a bit of a skip that we're going to be doing. I'm going to be getting enough height by doing afterburner kicks up this wall so that we can get on top of that sphere, because usually there's a fight underneath that sphere that you need to do in order to get on top of here. But using those techniques, we can make it up here without having to do that. Now by doing 2 afterburner kicks here, I should be able to get the gravity of the upper platform to get on top of here. This is another snake way. And we're going to be using the afterburner kicks more. There is an invisible wall here, but by using the afterburner kicks, you can gain enough height to go over that invisible wall and not have to deal with the whole snake way, and you can skip having to go the whole way. The whole spiral way downwards. In this next segment, there's going to be a few chests that we're going to have to crack open. Some of them, enemies will come out. In some of them, there will be pieces to a key. Try and get which time when this guy pops out. Try and take him down. We still have the other one. He is bouncing away a lot. Why did I go into that one? Okay, this is awful. This is the worst because now the dog is actually active. I'm just gonna drop that because it's no point now. Okay, that was very slow. I'm really angry about that part. Yeah, yeah, okay. But anyway, we use afterburner kicks here to get over here without having to put the key in that we collected, but we needed to collect the key in order to progress because there was an invisible wall that needed to be removed. Now these are king ships. They kind of look like ships, hence the name. And they are probably one of the most annoying enemies, at least for me, because they move around. And sometimes you don't get on top of them. But yeah, anyway, that's fine. There's another disc piece here, I'll make sure I pick it up. And we're going to be using this faster movement with the Durga claws on the feet. Try and go through here fast without hitting the vines, if possible. And yeah, we make it down here. And there's a joy fight there, but going fast you don't have to deal with them. The final part of the disc is behind this wall. So we collect that, and now we'll have the disc ready for when we go to the shop next, which will be quite a few chapters later. Thanks. This is a golem. Might have seen him a little bit throughout this chapter. We're going to be versing him up ahead. He's also an enemy that you're going to see quite a few times in the game. Golem has a few different forms. And instead of doing the climax, I just let myself get hit. Because we don't do the climax animation because it's slow. Each time he comes back, he will have a little bit of health, so it's faster to just wait. And I keep doing that too slow. Too late. But yeah. So we do it like that. Hey Noopsy, thanks for the good luck. So next we have Paradise, A Sea of Stars. Chapter 10. Start off in a room with joys. Gonna try and get Witch Time. And then in Witch Time, use the Durga explosives to try and blow them up. Like so. I'm gonna try to do something a little bit special. Here, if I land in a certain spot, go into the inventory and use a flute, I can get rid of some of the gear, the doors that create the gears for the contraption. Oh my god. That's fine. And there's one back here that I need to deal with as well. Have to do damage to these walls. Not even sure if you call them walls or doors or whatever. And then they create the gears to then work this contraption to progress. And yeah, there's lots of enemies there, but it's not necessary for me to deal with them, so we don't deal with them. It's gonna be some harmonies here though, and they blow up. Gonna see some familiar faces from before. We see Forturo. I went into the inventory. Using the exploit, you can take down their health very fast. These ones don't have as much health as the boss ones, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, these miniature forms of them. Go down very fast. in this room with the spinning platform, there's some of the wheels. I just wait a moment because they can be really mean, so... And it doesn't matter because we have to get onto this platform anyway. I'm just gonna be using the panther form. Jumping and movement to get across here as fast as possible. Now here we have two enemies that look a lot like Grace and Glory, but they are called Gracious and Glorious, and you cannot get witch time when dodging their attacks. So they can be a bit of a menace to deal with, but tripping them over, they can be okay. Now that is the final set of enemies that we have to verse in the run. Because coming up next there is a skip. There's a fight to the left that you usually would do, but in the speedrun we do this. We use the afterburner kick technique to get enough height to get on top of that ledge. I was a little bit low, but that's okay. Didn't mean to go on panther form. Okay. No, I'm not doing it how I want to do it. Okay. Yeah, I'm doing the kick too far to the... I'm still not high enough even that way. Okay, let me try again. Okay, so we get up here and we're going to be jumping over the fight that is below to make it to the other side. Like so. So we skipped having to do a whole fight there. That's probably one of my favorite skips, but I didn't get it first try. That's okay. Now this is the cardinal virtue of justice. This chapter starts out with you fighting some smaller mobs. But this is a boss fight chapter because we're going to be seeing a boss in just a minute. First thing we do is get close to the head and do the Shuriba slashes with the sword to the face. Like I said, we use the sword against bosses a lot. We're going to be seeing that for the next coming bosses as well. We use the sword a lot. Once you receive a certain amount of damage, you'll be able to climb on top of the neck. I think you would call it, or tongue. Whatever you would call it. And then once you reach the head, we have to chop it off. Hey, BJ. Big tongue. Yeah. And what we do is we go off the platform and run off the right, because if we just sat there, we would have to wait for the boss to break the platform anyway. So we run off the right when we come back from breaking off the tongue each time. But yeah, we just try and slash the face as much as possible. He'll try to throw some boulders at us, but we just have to break them and punch him in the face. And then we have to go up again. And we have to do this one more time after this one. But yeah, these plants that the boss vomits are really bad. Just gonna try and make sure that I break them. Yeah, that's the final time. Just have some boulders to break up. And another one. Now we're gonna get on top. The camera going up here can be really bad. So. Yeah, that's the final time. Now he's gonna explode. Oh, look like he wants to explode. The Bayonetta punches him in the face. Now we're gonna see another infernal beast, but this one is gonna be a little bit different. Not Gamora, not the bird. It is a centipede. So she summons a centipede. It's gonna strangle the boss to death. That's the end of that chapter. Next chapter is The Broken Sky. The setting of this chapter is on a plane. First thing I'm going to do is go to the left, because behind this wall, if I can break it open, there is a chest that has a magic flute. I'm going to be using that magic flute near the end of this chapter. Just try and go through as fast as possible. You might notice that there was like those things breaking up the walls. Those are Jean's Wicked Weave, so you can guess who else is in this chapter that we're gonna be seeing. But we have something special in regards to her fight that I'll get to show. If I don't get my face pushed in before I get there. Now with the claw, we activate it to try and rid of some of the enemies there. Now, Jean's fight is that way. Well, that's usually the direction you go to verse her. However, in the speedrun, we go this way. Because the whole plane is a physical object, you can get on top of the plane like this. Her fight is to the left, so we go into her fight slightly to activate her health bar. We fall down here, and she will follow us down here. If we stand in a specific spot, she will give us a Wicked Weave, allowing us to get Witch Time and hit her off the plane. And by doing so, her health should vanish, like so. We go into the fight normally, and she will just drop dead. And we don't have to deal with her. That's very fast. My health is a little bit concerning. Oh, my health is concerning. Now here, we have Cereza again. We have to protect her. It's gonna be a few waves of angels who come in here, so this is a good time for donations. Because all I'm gonna be doing is blowing up angels. Oh, okay. Can you please not bully Cereza? Okay. Now after here, you might remember that magic flute that I got from the wall, the little chest in the wall. Gonna be using it up ahead. There are some harmonies who come in. I wait to see a blue aura when more spawn in, and I use the flute to clear them all out together. And that's the end of that chapter. Thankfully for the rest of the run we won't be needing magic flutes, so I don't need to play the mini game at all anymore. Next chapter is a boss fight. We were in a plane and now we're gonna be in the ocean. The cardinal virtue of prudence. Now for this boss fight, this boss has these like porcelain faces on each of its legs. So first objective is to break each of those faces. I use a punch kick punch combo with the sword because the wicked weave with the sword will reach the faces of each one. I purposely let those missiles hit me because if I dodge them, witch time activates and it is slow. So, yes. Now we hit 2 of the faces, now we have to hit the other 2 faces which are on the right side. There's that one, and then this is the final one. After hitting them, Bayonetta will summon an infernal beast. It's a different one. It is a big spider. The boss is like, oh no! I don't like spiders! Bayonetta's like, oh no, you like spiders. And she's gonna take him and direct him towards the spider. Gonna grab him. And there's gonna be some prompts here I have to make sure I hit because I will lose a lot of time if I do, which is these counters. And the spider's gonna give him lunch. Now that the face is exposed, that is the point where I want to hit. So I'm gonna try to do hits to the face and he will dive soon after. The face is the place. Yeah. One thing that this boss can do is he can decide to dive multiple times and it's a lot of time waste, so I'm just going to hope that he does not do that. Just going to keep hitting him in the face as much as I can. Till we get the climax prompt. Now we have to direct him towards the spider again. Make sure I don't miss these prompts that pop up. Now this is the final part of the boss fight. We get sucked into this kind of like water vortex thing. Sapientia, the boss, will be there. I'm going to be using punch kick punch combo with the sword. He's going to push us away very shortly. And when he does, I'm going to use a Yellow Moon Lollipop. I'm going to continue using the punch kick punch combo. The wicked weaves from the sword can reach him from back here. And the Lollipop is so that none of the lasers that he fires interrupts them. I usually activate the Yellow Moon Lollipop just as I feel the vibration of my controller ending. Because then, yeah, I can get those waves on him. And he just became someone's snack. The Spooters had some lunch. You seeing, people detective? You see the Spooter? Little Spooters. Now before the next chapter, we are going to be going into the store to exchange the disc that we had collected from one of the Paradiso chapters for the weapon, the endgame weapon that I mentioned. And we're also going to be buying a few items and also an accessory that's going to be very important for endgame. So the weapon that we're getting is the Kilgore, which is a set of rocket launchers. We're going to be buying Celine's Light, and we're going to be buying some Bloody Rose lollipops and some Yellow Moon lollipops. And we're also going to be buying a Mega Purple Magic Lollipop for Magic Gauge. So this is Isla del Sol. this chapter starts off as like a shoot 'em up segment, and the first thing I'm going to do is equip the rocket launchers and equip the Bloody Rose Lollipops. Bloody Rose Lollipops, when they are consumed, give you extra attack damage, which I'm going to be needing for some of the mini bosses in this shoot 'em up segment. So this shoot 'em up segment is just waves of enemies coming in, and the objective is just as soon as they come in to shoot them down as fast as possible. Each wave, the waves are in patterns, so you just need to know when the enemies are coming out and take them down first. There is a bit of repetition with this chapter, so this is a good chapter for any donation reading. So yeah. I just need to shoot them as they come out. And I use shooting by alternating between two buttons, and I also use Wicked Weaves. So one thing that I try and take note of is the magic gauge underneath the health bar. So to see how much I can shoot. Because the Wicked Weaves in this segment, to shoot them, they consume a portion of the magic gauge. Hey Tyler. So this is the first mini boss. It isn't inspired, but you won't really see it too much because he goes down very fast. Hey man, I've been good. I'm just practicing commentary today. But yeah, we see like enemies that we've seen in previous parts of the game. Like we're seeing the Stingray Angel now. Popping out. We just shoot the Wicked Weaves and yeah, shoot them down. And there's also segments where you are on the missile because some angels thought it was a good idea to hitch a ride, so we just have to blow them up. But yeah, you'll see a lot of familiar faces. Coming up next, we have another mini boss. Gonna recognize him, but you won't see him for too long. It is Fortitudo. I use a Bloody Rose Lollipop to get extra attack damage, and we can defeat him before he even fights back. These are beloveds, but in this shoot 'em up segment, they have like a fireball rocket launcher. So, by knowing where they spawn in, you can take them down before they attack. Because they move around quite a bit too, so it's good to take them down. We have another bit on the not the motorbike, we have another bit on the missile. My explosive didn't go off. Yeah, this segment is rather long, like even in the speedrun, just because there's so many waves that come out. Like I remember casually I suffered for this part because I didn't know where enemies were spawning in. But yeah, this is a good donation reading then. Or just a chill. Sometimes it's nice to just chill. Now this is another mini boss. We have 3 inspireds who are going to be spawning in. So I use a bloody red lollipop for extra attack damage, and the Wicked Weaves, and we shoot them down. Oh, my wave didn't hit that one. These are kingships, but we don't have to deal with them because you can go to the top of the screen and the lasers don't hit you. Now we have a final mini boss which is coming up. You can hear the music is getting kind of eerie and intense. Set up the suspense of who it could be. Oh no. It's Temperance. Okay, so first thing I do is I use a Bloody Rose Lollipop for extra attack power. I also use a Yellow Moon Lollipop so that none of these bullets that are firing at me will interrupt me doing damage to him. Then I shoot lots of leaves at him and he goes down. Now coming up next is the fight in Isla del Sol, which is going to be the final Jean fight. And there's quite a bit of tech that we do here, so I'll try and explain it all. First thing I do is go into the inventory and I'm going to be equipping Celine's Light. And I'm also going to be using the Magic Lollipop. What Celine's Light does is that when you wear Celine's Light and get hit by an enemy while you have Magic Gauge available, Celine's Light will activate Witch Time, consuming a portion of that Magic Gauge. So we're going to be needing that for Jean's fight, as well as a few others. And now, what we're doing is we're doing the exploit that I had used in Temperance's fight. However, this time we have the Kilgore rocket launchers on the feet. So we're going to be shooting a lot of missiles at Jean. See, and I'm shooting a lot of rockets from the feet, which is something you can't usually do. Also, something about Jean is if you go into Panther form, she will want to chase you in her version of Panther form. If she's good, and she's not being good. And by doing so, you can get a lot of damage to her when in Witch Time. And I'm very sorry about this screenshot being so bright. That was just a white screen. Anyway. But yeah, because she chases you in Panther form, every time she comes out in Panther form, she tries to attack you with her sword. She does a downwards hit with her sword. And from that, while wearing Celine's Light and having Magic Age available, you can get Witch Time and then exploit her in Witch Time and do a lot of damage to her health. Now this is a Tower to Truth. There's a bit of repetition of enemies in this chapter. If I can skip the cutscene, that would be great. Anyway. So this is a good donation reading chapter 2 because we're just going to be seeing... And yeah, those enemies are on fire, so can't touch them, like similar to the enemies in chapter 3, where we use the Shuriba Sword Slash. But yeah, gonna see a lot of familiar faces in this place. But we're just gonna be using the Durga explosives as well as the exploit to try and get rid of them. Hey Havrix. Gonna be some joys in this room. Try and get witch time. She did not die. Like I thought she was going to die. Well, that's very annoying. Anyway. It's gonna be some of the... yeah, will type angels here. And I really wanted to kill the red one first, because yeah, I'm gonna be needing his weapon. They were very far away from me. Yeah, might have seen Temperance, he had his arms through the wall. Gonna be going into this contraption to shoot him. I'm gonna be trying to shoot him directly on the face to stagger him repeatedly, hoping that he will not have the opportunity to fight back. Hopefully he doesn't move too much so that this is possible. Please don't move around, Temperance, I want you to just die. After he receives a certain amount of damage, he will try and punch that side. So we go to the next side. However, in this time frame, he has the opportunity to fight back. So we use a yellow moon lollipop so that his missiles will not interrupt us or do damage to us. He can do a laser move, which is what he's going to try and do. He's moving a lot, but I'm going to try and... yeah, okay. That's okay. I'm not the greatest at aiming either. Yeah, we just try and take them down. Now, because the moon is out, Bayonetta can do the ability which is Witch Walk, which allows her to walk on the walls. This ability you get in Chapter 2, after you fight Jean in that chapter. I'm gonna be jumping in Panther form just to get up here as fast as possible. There's gonna be this guy again. So we activate the claw from the previous fight. Does damage to the head. And we're meant to, yeah, we get on top of here. Try and go up here. As fast as we can. Now we're in this little bit. There's some platforms to the left that usually go up, but we're using the afterburner kicks we can get up on top of here. Now this is another skip too. Usually interact with the contraption to get plates to emerge and whatever, but using panther form and crow form, we can make it to the other side without having to do that. To the fight that is here that we're going to have to do, which is a golem. I should have just shot him. Okay. We don't do the climax animation because the climax animation is slow. Instead, we just wait until he comes back, and when he comes back, he will have a little bit of health. And we just blow it up. Can I get through here, please? Gonna witch walk up this wall, and there's another enemy who's gonna spawn out that we've seen before. It is Sapientia. What I'm going to be doing here is a technique that you get at the start of the game, which is called the dodge offset. Might notice I am planting explosives, and then when coming out of panther form, I can also plant more at him. And what the dodge offset allows you to do is continue your combos after dodging. If you press down the button of the attack button, and that makes combat a lot more fluid. It's something that I've been doing throughout the whole run, but it's good to point out there because you can actually see it specifically in action. And yeah, I'm just going to be jumping in panther form. Jumping in panther form is the fastest form of movement because each time you jump, you gain a bit of momentum. So jumping in panther form is, yeah, fast. And that's the end of that chapter. I need to, yeah. Anyway. So the final two chapters are both boss fights and they're both pretty RNG heavy. So we'll see how they decide to play today. Hopefully they are kind, but we'll see. And this one is the Lumen Sage. Yeah. What we're going to be doing is trying to get Witch Time and then do the exploit in Witch Time to get rid of his health if he decides to cooperate, which he is not doing. Yeah, you're being a jerk. This is not what I want. Boulder, please cooperate. See, I can't do it if I don't have... But yeah, we have to use the missiles to erase his health 3 times. But sometimes he doesn't do the moves I want him to do. Because we need a 3-hit combo, because from that combo we can get Witch Time. Whether we get hit by it with Celine's Light, or we dodge it for Witch Time. Because when time is slowed down, Bayonetta can take advantage of her enemies, and Boulder is one of those enemies that we need to use it for. It's very important. So yeah, this fight might be a little bit slow because the opening was really bad. And each time Bayonetta summons an infernal beast, Boulder says no. He... He's very smug. Yes. And then Bayonetta will fire a bullet, and there's going to be some glass in the air, so I have to just make sure that I don't hit them. Because we want the bullet to go straight into Boulder's forehead. Like so. Yeah, that was not very nice.
I should have been a pole dancer.
But that's okay. Not everything can be good. Now we have the final chapter, which also has a boss that's just as RNG heavy. Which is the chapter Epilogue Requiem. You start off this chapter as playing as Jean. Jean is coming to save Bayonetta. So we are on a motorbike. There are some angels who are behind us, But we use a yellow moon lollipop straight away, a mega one, so that none of their attacks or anything will alter the direction of the motorbike or the speed of the motorbike, so we can just go as fast as possible. Because we just want to be riding straight on the missile, and yeah, just going fast. So this is a good point for donation reading as well. Because all I'm doing is riding on the motorbike. And yeah, the theme that plays for this part of the game is like my favorite theme. It's really good. It's the soundtrack is called Friend. Yeah, I always say that I like it, but I really do. She come to say Bayonetta. It's my favorite thing. Yeah, we're just doing more jumping in Panther form, which is actually Link's form when you play as Jean. She has a slight variation to the different base forms. When we arrive to the end, we're gonna see the final boss, which is Jubilace the Creator. Jubilace has these hair strands that have these spheres on the hair strands, so when she does moves like that, I try and hit them. She can also decide to do this, which is a punch. And on the third punch, you can get Witch Time and then do damage to her hands and her arms. Once she receives a certain amount of damage, she will go into her next phases, where she summons different elements. The first element that she summons is fire. And I have to hit each of the hair strands. Then we hit her in the face. She doesn't like being hit in the face, so we hit her in the face a bit more. And now she will summon ice. So we just hit the hair strands again. Hit her in the face more. We're using the Shuraba sword, yep, because that's the only weapon that we're going to be using against her. And now this, for this elemental phase, it is different from the other two in that she will have her strands on these platforms, and it is like a storm kind of phase. You have to jump on these platforms to get to each of the hair strands, and I don't like this phase because you need to get prompts to jump onto them, and sometimes, yeah, if you stand on for too long, even though apparently that was too long, the platform breaks and you have to go back to the start, and it's dreadful. Because now everything is pretty scuffed. I hate this phase with so much passion. Because I always stuff it up. Thankfully I don't have to deal with that anymore now. But like I said, she is an RNG bus. She has one move that she can do where it is just timeless. So I hope she doesn't do that, but she can decide to do that. This is not it though. This is a frisbee move where she has like these blue frisbees that she commands down. And getting hit by them, you turn into little Cereza, which is a child form of Bayonetta. And if you get hit by those frisbees, she will always do these punches. So I purposely let them hit so that we can do that. Now I just have to see what she decides to do now. This is the move that I was talking about that you don't want. This is just time loss, which is not very nice. Because all you can do is run away. Her hair strands can't be damaged, and if you get sucked into that vortex, you die instantly. Yeah, she decided to do frisbees twice, so you get to see little bay, little Cereza. But thankfully, now she does a climax move. We're gonna run up the hair that Bayonetta summons as a pathway. She's gonna try and slap us a bit, so we just make sure that she can't hit us. We're gonna hit her in the face even a bit more. And I will say the finale. With Bayonetta and John's hair, together they summon Queen Sheba. And we're gonna punch God into the sun. Hey Icarus! Thanks for good luck. Now for this part, there's going to be some planets, so I just have to make sure that I don't hit them, because if I do, I have to do this whole segment again, and it's not very nice. But yeah, this is also a good donation reading time. Just because there's not too much. Just have to make sure that we don't hit her into any of them. But it's not just her, like, model, it's also the camera as well. If the camera gets smacked with a planet, it also counts as you dying, or her getting hit by the planet, so I have to make sure that doesn't happen either. I found that out when I was first learning this game. There's Earth. Just bypassed Earth. There's Venus. There's Mercury. And now I just have to direct her into the sun. Okay, cool. Now after doing so, we now have to break up the body parts. We fried God, but now we just have to make sure that they don't... make sure that they're really dead. So just using the sword. There are these yellow lights, you might notice those are the lock-on points, so I just have to make sure that I hit the body parts at the right spot, because otherwise the body part might not break correctly. And that's that bit. And now the credits will be coming up soon, but we do not... I just went into the menu. We do not stop the timer yet because there are still inputs in the credits. There's still some fights in the credits part, so we stop the timer on final input. So you can enjoy the groovy music. For this part, yeah, we're gonna have 3 fights The first one is the first Jean fight. Might remembered from the beginning of the game. Damn, look at that snapshot. Bayonetta got hit as Jean died. She got her hands up. People cheat. Double killed. Thanks, Herathian. Hey, thanks, Centipede. Now this is the fight where you were protecting Cereza. And the first two fights are on like a set timer, so how I do them doesn't matter too much, but the final fight in the credits does, for how long the run will be, so we'll try and do that fight as fast as possible. Nice! Look at that! 147.47, damn. Thanks for watching the run! Thanks everyone.